Yeah, and I think that the biggest thing, a lot of times I think people move from dream to move, and it's not always move in faith. They're just like, I have this dream and I'm going to go into action mode.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that you dream, and we live in a natural world, so you have to plan for natural things to occur.
That's good.
And that includes all of your possibilities not potentially going through.
Yes.
So in case they don't, making sure that you have a backup plan.
Yes.
And then once you plan for the just in case, and I'm not saying have a plan A, B, have a plan B, C, and D. You know what I mean? I'm not saying have A through Z, but be smart. Make sure that you have a plan. And then I think once you do those things, you can move in faith.
Right.
Because you know that you've prepared yourself for whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, or whatever it is you're trying to do. And then when you do those things, that's when God can step in and you can move out on faith, because you know, I've done what I have to do, and now I can move in action and trust that God will take care of me.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Love Hour podcast. I am KevOnStage.
And I am Miss KevOnStage.
And we appreciate you for listening on iTunes or SoundCloud, or watching this on Facebook or YouTube. However you get your podcast and listen to us, we're grateful, very much grateful. This podcast is sponsored in part by the Love Hour Tour, also presented to you from KevOnStage and Miss KevOnStage, coming to a city near you starting January 2017 all the way through May 2018. Those months already happened. If you would love to find out about the Love Hour podcast coming to your city, check out all the dates on KevOnStage.com. It's going to be a live podcast where we talk about life, love, marriages, relationships, takes questions and answers, things like that. And afterwards, we'll do a stand-up comedy show. If you would love to support us, you could buy a ticket to that, or just share this podcast with a friend. Either click the link and share, or just tell somebody about it.
Do you tell them where they can buy tickets?
You can buy tickets on KevOnStage.com under tour or shows. All right?
Now let's get into the show.
Let's get into the show. It's so podcasty.
It is.
We get asked this a lot. Some variation of these things. We moved to LA almost 5 years ago. People always ask us, how did we do it? How did you do it? How did you decide? How do you move a family of four? How do you chase your dreams? All that type of stuff. And today we're going to talk a little bit about that. So the backstory on why we moved to LA, if you don't know, my son was cast as Buckwheat in the Little Rascals remake. Zay. Little Rascals remake is on Netflix now. If you want to check that out, your boy makes a cameo. I play a doctor. I have no lines.
It's like a montage scene.
It's a montage scene, but your boy was out there.
You do the syringe.
I do the syringe, I spray thing, and the kid falls out, and I feel like I should have been at least considered for an Academy Award.
You're a sham.
If I didn't get it, I mean, I
Bamboozled.
understand.
What's the word? Hoodwinked.
Bamboozled. Run amok. Cast aside, or something like that. But anyway, before that, I had already wanted to move from Washington.
That's true.
There was nothing going on in Washington that I wanted to do long term. I wanted to move, at the time, it was Dallas or Atlanta. And Dallas was in the lead for me just because I have more family in Texas, and Atlanta never really seemed appealing to me as a place to live. Melissa and I had looked into some jobs, but very light. We hadn't made no real...
Wait, to move that one those places?
To Dallas, yeah. Like, I had looked at some jobs and stuff.
I don't think I did.
Yeah, no, I don't think I had Melissa on board to go.
I wasn't.
But I was very interested in moving. But once a couple of things happened at the same time that really made us want to move to LA. Made me want to move to LA. Zay and JoJo started making YouTube videos for a company called Awesomeness TV that was based in LA. I had started making YouTube videos with the Playmakers. That was popping off. I barely started KevOnStage, but that really wasn't the reason. No. That was like...
KevOnStage wasn't...
111 views. I just did stuff that I thought was funny. Wasn't like... At that time, I thought the Playmakers were taking me everywhere I was going to go. So, but then...
Playmakers were comprised of...
my brother, Jason Fredericks, and my best friend, Anthony Debos. And at that time,
You guys were doing church
Growing Up
videos,
Black, and all the church videos were popping, and we were really popping. So Zay was cast in Little Rascals. I remember the day like it was yesterday. We were at the Staples Center's Playmakers performing at House Sweet the Sound. They were playing our videos on the tour.
That was a big
Donald
deal
Lawrence,
too
it was
at the time.
humongous. They were playing our videos on the tour. We got to go to Staples Centers and perform. It was like 2 minutes, but it didn't matter. It was like amazing. It was packed, and
we're gonna have a dent in our car by the end of this.
We're at our son's soccer practice, and every 5 minutes a soccer ball hits our car. So anyway, the day we got the Staples Center's the day we got the Staples Center performance, we found out that Zay was cast in Little Rascals. And
our lives changed.
Our lives were forever changed. It was amazing. It was just totally and utterly amazing. So that was good. That weekend was great. I didn't actually even fly back to LA. I flew Melissa and Zay to LA, met the casting directors, and
actually, and that was horrible. I had to tell my manager that I would be gone for a week. I feel like it was on a Thursday or Friday.
No, it was a Friday.
I was gonna say because I feel like I told her and then I was gone.
You flew out on Saturday.
I was gonna say I think I flew out the next day.
I think they put us up in a hotel. Or no, it was that long-term apartment.
Was that right away? To be honest, I don't remember. This doesn't matter.
No, it was like a week. It was like a week.
Okay.
We went back to LA. We went back to Washington, got some things together. And then me and Zay came and moved to, we called it the Man Pad. Mm-hmm. But it was basically the studio furnished an apartment, studio. The studio gave us a studio apartment, me and Zay. It was tiny, just a sofa bed and a little kitchen.
Bedroom.
It wasn't a bedroom.
It was a kitchen.
It was a studio. Remember, there was no bedroom.
There wasn't a bedroom on the side? I think there was.
No. The bed was a couch bed.
For the boys. Me and you didn't sleep on the couch bed when we came to visit on the weekends?
We did. We slept on the couch bed. The boys slept on the floor.
Oh, I do not remember that.
Yes. And trust me, I know it was a studio. Because I remember there were some times that we wanted to do some activities and there was nowhere for the boys to go.
I do not remember that.
And there was times that we wanted to do activities.
I got what you're saying.
And we couldn't.
Okay.
Till the boys were asleep. So anyway, Zay was cast in Little Rascals, and I was on set with him being a dad on set. I got permission from my job to take leave. And being on the set of that movie, forever changed my life. Being on set every day and seeing people just, work on a movie set, and that was just their life. And then seeing all these other movies that we're always shooting. I didn't even realize how many movies we're shooting because I'd never been to LA other than vacation. But this time I saw that this is a lifestyle and stuff. And the combination of the Playmakers blowing up, Awesomeness TV, and we had just signed with Tracy Edmonds. During the movie, we signed with Tracy Edmonds' All Right TV thing. And that was the thing that allowed us to move because we got a good sum of money to come. Well, we thought it was a good sum of money at the time, but it was enough to allow us to move, and that's really what put us over. But that didn't mean it was easy.
No.
We had good jobs at the Boeing Company.
We were both working at the Boeing Company, making more money than either one of us had ever made.
In our life, kids were in private school. Zay was in private school. Joe wasn't in school yet. He was at that daycare. But Zay was in private school.
No, Joe was in their pre-kinder.
Joe was 3.
Yeah, he was in their pre-kinder program.
But he was in real school.
No, but it was their private school.
It was private school stuff, but he wasn't.
I was I remember that bill was expensive. It was only 3 days a week or something, but it was expensive.
Yeah. So people always ask Melissa, and I'll let you speak to it. How did you what made you say yes to this move? Because it was mostly me pushing for it.
Teach me to say no to this. Whatever.
How are we working the Hamilton reference? It's not teach me. It's
I want to say no to this.
I
don't want to say no to this.
But you got me saying well.
What was the question?
How did you what made you decide that you were wanting to move? Because it was mostly me pushing we got to get to LA.
Plans.
Oh my gosh, you were so.
You were
So
just
planning.
trying to like, let's move tomorrow.
The funniest thing
figure
about
it
that
out.
is I remember this like it was yesterday, and I'm gonna let you keep talking because you were completely right on this. I was like, Liz, we got this, this, and this. It's gonna work perfectly. And you were like, I agree with you, but you got to plan as if those three things don't work out money wise. What are you gonna do then? And I was like, there's no way that won't work. No, it will work. It will be perfect. It will work. I know it will. And lo and behold, all three of those fell apart.
Not immediately, but one of them fell apart altogether. One
fell
of them you expected to get a raise, which I didn't think was going to happen.
Didn't
happen. And then what was the other one? I think it was only those two.
Oh no, the other thing was actually one worked. You got a job.
Oh, I need to drop to like 6 months later. But yeah, I think my most important thing, Kev is very much like push me out of next nest and hope I learn to fly before I hit the ground. And I'm very much like, so how far are we going?
Right.
How quickly should I be able to learn? So at this point, if I haven't been able to learn, am I going to die, or do I have time to like recuperate and have a plan B?
Exactly.
And so that's what I think was the most, like, what made me okay with it was I felt like we had a plan in place that if everything fell apart, that we could sustain a lifestyle that wasn't dependent upon all these other factors that we really didn't have control over.
Right. So what's the, let's get to the bare bones of it. How do you do something that big? You have a great thing that I like. Dream, plan, move in faith. What did that mean for us? I had the dream part down.
Yeah, and I think that the biggest thing, a lot of times I think people move from dream to move, and it's not always move in faith. They're just like, I have this dream and I'm going to go into action mode.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that you dream, and we live in a natural world, so you have to plan for natural things to occur.
That's good.
And that includes all of your possibilities not potentially going through.
Yes.
So in case they don't, making sure that you have a backup plan.
Yes.
And then once you plan for the just in case, and I'm not saying have a plan A, B, have a plan B, C, a D, you know what I mean? I'm not saying have A through Z, but be smart, make sure that you have a plan. And then I think once you do those things, you can move in faith.
Right.
Because you know that you've prepared yourself for whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, or whatever it is you're trying to do. And then when you do those things, that's when God can step in and you can move out on faith, because I've done what I have to do, and now I can move in action and trust that God will take care of me.
Yeah, I think it's the old adage from the Bible. It's not an adage, but faith without works is dead. I think I had this Frederick's Manifesto. Remember that?
Yeah.
And it came from a devotional that I was reading, and it was I used to have it memorized.
I remember what it said.
Along the way, the servant that was sent to find the wife for Abraham's son or somebody. I'm mixing up the characters, but basically he was tasked with going out and finding this person a wife. And he was basically like, look, I'm gonna go out and do this, and I just know along the way God's gonna provide for me. The God of Abraham, he's gonna provide for me. And what we tend to do as people, we tend to be like, well, if I don't have X, Y, Z, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3 in place, I'm not gonna move.
Well, I think there's two types of people in the world. I am the person that says, if I don't have A, B, C, X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3, 9, 8, 7, 8, 9, 10 in place, I don't want to move. But then there's also people that just says, this is my dream, I'm going for it, God, I'm trusting you.
Yeah.
And so there's people that won't move, and then there's people that I think move too quick.
Yeah, without due diligence.
Yeah, and so I do think that there has to be a happy medium of, to be honest, I think it can be, I think sometimes we move in faith, and sometimes it's just lack of planning and ignorance.
Yeah.
And then when things don't work out right, you're like, oh, what happened?
God, why you ain't look out for your
Why you
boy?
look out for me? And God is like, yeah, but that it just wasn't smart. Maybe it wasn't the right time. You didn't do the things naturally on earth. And not to say, and I've always said this too, not to say that God isn't sovereign.
Yeah.
And he can do and move whenever and however he
Right.
decides to move, because he's God. So don't get that twisted. He can and absolutely can do that at will whenever he decides to do that.
Right.
But 9 times out of 10, that's not what happens.
Yeah.
You know, we do have responsibility and ownership in this natural world that we live in, that we can't be like so spiritually minded that I'm just going to move and God's going to meet me. And you're moving to California where it's super expensive. You got a bunch of debt. You don't have,
Yeah.
you know, that's irresponsible.
Yeah.
And so you move out here and you're wondering why you're packing your bags and moving back.
Yes. And more practically, we saved money. We
Exactly.
had 401ks. We had, you know, investments. We had a plan. We had okay, Melissa can probably not work for this amount of time and
Yeah.
it'll be okay. I've never been afraid of work. I think you didn't work for like 6 months.
I didn't work for like the first 6
Yeah,
months.
you didn't work for 6 months. People have asked, somebody else asked me, like, did you move because of ADD? No, I didn't.
No.
Didn't.
But see, and that's what I mean. Like, we
That's the
moved
along the
out
way.
here in faith,
Yeah.
and then those opportunities open up, and I think that's God stepping in and
Right.
sustaining. You know.
Yeah.
But in the 6 months that we first moved here, if we didn't have the money, if we didn't pay down debt, if we didn't do those things, we wouldn't have never been here long enough to meet an ADD opportunity.
Absolutely. And I think what I did, I worked, I got out there, I networked, which is something I don't like to do. I built my YouTube channel. I worked for the boys stuff. You know, I auditioned. You know, I did all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I had the opportunity to write a movie, I did. And that's kind of what opened the door for the ADD opportunity.
Yeah.
But if I never moved from Washington, I wouldn't have had that opportunity. And without that opportunity, it wouldn't have led to X, Y, Z.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all this type of stuff wouldn't have happened. And, you know, I think if I would be in Washington right now, I would just be
I was listening to
depressed.
this podcast the other day, and they were talking about, it was the Oprah Winfrey one, and she was talking about how she felt a call to move to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, honestly, you know, you have a lot of naysayers, but she's like, if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have died, but I would have died in pieces. And I thought that was so powerful, because I do think that when you don't, people like you, or people that really have like this, you know, desire to like pursue these things, and they decide to settle, or, you know, maybe not even settle, but circumstances beyond their control don't allow them to fully pursue their dream, you're not just going to lay here and die. But I do think over time you just die, like
ambition,
pieces of you just die, because you're not realizing your full potential, or your full destiny, or your full purpose, you know. So you die in pieces.
What's that song you and Joe like from the Dr. Seuss movie?
I have no idea what Dr. Seuss movie.
If you build it, will grow, or something like that.
Oh, no, the let it die, let it die, let it shrivel up and die.
That's what would have happened to me. Let it
song is-
shrivel up and die.
Yeah.
I think part of my ambition would, like, you remember when the Playmakers, that last play didn't work out, and we were like, look, we're just, we try this one thing, if it doesn't work, we're just going to coach our kids' basketball team.
Right.
Like, I don't think I would have had a sad life. Like, obviously, I would have just worked at Boeing, and you know what I mean? Like, I would have been resigned to do well at whatever I was doing. But, and I was, you know, nothing wrong with me. I would have had no problem just being a dad, being at soccer, being that father. But there would have been a piece of me that was like, man, if only. And that's really the thing that prevented me from for even trying. I can deal, I've said this plenty of times, but I'm going to say it again. I can deal with failure. I failed at a lot of things. Plays, hairlines, all type of stuff.
Stupid.
Weight loss. I failed, you know. I can deal with moving to LA and being like, man, it just didn't work out.
Yeah.
You know, I could have lived with that. I couldn't live with not knowing. Like, it would have eaten me alive, being like, man, I should have went. Especially like watching my peers or people that I'm close with, like, actualize their dreams. Like, I realize some people aren't jealous of you or anything like that. But what happens is, watching somebody else actualize their dream reminds you that you didn't actualize yours, and that can be very painful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Like, that's why when I see my friends and people I know, like, realizing their thing, like, I know some people that
doing
are
things.
just
Like,
killing
honestly,
at life.
I look at, it's really college people that we went to college with.
Yes.
We know some amazing
Just our college friends alone.
people. They are doing things with their lives that I am like, listen, y'all are out here doing
Right.
it.
Y'all out here.
And I am not mad.
I'm not mad, but I'm also not mad because I'm out here too.
That's true.
And that, like, I don't think if
and
I
maybe
wasn't
actually,
Is there a word coming?
I just got something in my spirit. Maybe it is easier. I've come to a point in my life where I don't feel the need to compete with anybody. I really feel like I can like stay and do what it is I need to do and not worry about what's going on and, you know, for anybody else's life, to be honest.
Right.
But I wonder if that's easier to do when you feel like you're on the path of your own.
It is. It's 100% is.
That's good.
See.
Because there's
I
no
see
competition,
you.
there's no like
No, you can actually
animosity.
clap.
You're like, it is a sincere and legitimate celebration for other people, because I recognize that that's not impeding me. First of all, I can boost you up, and by no means is that like stepping down on me.
Yvonne.
Oh, she's
Yvonne Orji is a friend of mine. I've known Yvonne since much before Insecure. Much before Insecure. She is having 2 years.
I mean, she's having the year of life.
I mean, this year, she is living.
Yeah, she
like,
is.
Issa's a little different. Issa's trajectory, she's been out here for a minute. She's working with Pharrell and all that type of stuff. But Yvonne really just came on the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And every time I see her, she was on Insecure season 1. I was like, yeah, you better go. Insecure season 2, really, which really like boosted her to the stratosphere. Movie with Kevin Hart, tour with Chris Rock, and she has not changed as a person. She gave us we were on our podcast a couple months ago. She gave us a ride in her brand new car. When I tell you, we hadn't even seen, I had never even heard of this brand. I was like, girl, you got a car.
What is it, Cardi B?
Money Moves was popping. Yeah,
and she was like, super.
She actually had just told us that she booked the movie.
It wasn't even before she
announced
it
yet.
live.
But what helps me be like, you better go, girl, is because I know I'm doing my own tour.
That's good, Kev.
And I can, and even if I weren't doing my own tour, I love having peers succeed, because I know that what God has for me is not shrunk by Him blessing somebody else. Yvonne having the year of her life doesn't impede on anything that I am gonna do. And I could have the year of my life too, and being mad at her or jealous of her
is not gonna
change a thing in my life. It ain't gonna add a follower or lose a follower or sell a ticket or not sell a ticket. Yeah. So there's really no point in putting that energy out there, because she deserves it too.
Absolutely.
And stop, I hate when people are mad at other people and like they didn't work. That girl was out there auditioning, struggling, pitching her shows and doing all that stuff. Like,
but the thing is, and I think this is the biggest thing, moving out here, and we've gone through this too with you, first starting out, is like narrowing your path to allow you to focus on what it is you want to do.
Talk about that, because it's so true.
What were you doing?
What was I doing? What do you mean?
Like, name all the things you were doing. I don't know. You were doing comedy, you were doing stand-up, or comedy and stand-up. Hello? You were doing stand-up, you were doing plays, you were doing...
You mean all at once or over my life?
Well, I feel like all at once you were doing all these things. Attempting to.
I don't think I'm doing all of it at once. Because I think I started doing stand-up because we weren't doing the plays anymore.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
And then we switched to YouTube, and I was doing stand-up. I mean, I'm still doing the most. I'm still doing 5 things right now. But they're all centrally located.
Yeah.
Stand-up comedy is one. YouTube, Facebook videos is still comedy. Shirts is an extension of that same, brand. The job I work is digital media, and I'm over comedy. It's not like some people are like, I do stand-up, and then I sell Herbalife.
Yeah,
I'm a fitness trainer. I want to be a pilot.
Stretching yourself thin and trying to like dibble dabble in everything
in areas that are not your focus.
Yeah, I don't always think that that's the best thing, because you end up not really concentrating on any one area and nothing really can take off. Everything is just kind of like but nothing is taken off.
You know who gave me the best thing about this, about staying focused on your passion? Josiah Fredericks.
What did he
As
say?
we sit at his soccer practice where he just graduated to the All-Star team and he just actually scored a goal in a scrimmage.
Did he?
Yes, and I'm distracted in this video because I'm watching him out of the corner of my
I
eye
wanna
doing this
watch.
podcast. I asked JoJo after the last soccer season, do you want to play basketball the next season? Or do you want to play soccer again? Because I said, hey, oh no, I don't even think soccer was happening.
I think it was just, yeah, you're right. It was just the off season. You asked me.
I said, do you want to play soccer? I mean, you want to play basketball while you wait for your next soccer season? And he was like, no, I'd rather just play soccer. I was like, but Joe, there's no soccer right now. Like, do you want to just stay active? He's like, no, anytime I spend playing basketball is time I'm spending not getting better at soccer. He was like, I'd rather practice soccer at home
than play basketball. Which is unrelated to what I really want to do.
And that was like, you know what? I respect that. And that kid, he don't run track. No. He don't play baseball. He plays soccer. He plays soccer video games. He wears soccer jerseys. When he's at school, he plays soccer. And that's why he's good, because he works. And, I wanted to tell him, like, most athletes, you get better if you play a lot of different sports. But at the same time, you succeed. Reggie Williams, who we went to high school, went to the NFL. He made that same decision. Now, he was in 11th grade. Yeah. He was like, I'm not playing basketball no more. I want to go to the NFL. Football and track. Track is an extension of me getting faster for the NFL. Sure. But basketball, I'm not going to have a career in that. He probably could have went to college and at least played basketball because he was that freaking humongous and athletic. But I think there's, people be like, man, especially because I blew up on Facebook over the last year and a half. People are like, man, you came out of nowhere. Like, bro, I've been working, toiling. I told somebody I post a YouTube video every day for almost 6 years. 6.
It's a long time to be consistent.
At least 400 videos posted every year. So remember, at one time I was posting 3 a day. Yeah. And I'd be still churning out a lot of content on Facebook right now, like just going and going and going and making. But it's flowing out of my passion. Yeah. And that's why, we're kind of off subject, but that's what the podcast is for. Get on subject and off subject. But dreaming about coming here and then working. And here's what, you guys have something to say?
No, go for it.
There was something that, somebody was asking me, like, where do you want to be in 5 years? And I don't know exactly, because as long as I'm doing a version of what I want to be doing, it's a dream. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I never can say, like I dreamt about specifically going on a stand-up comedy tour, like, as a kid. Yeah. But once I started doing stand-up, I was like, this would be dope if I could do this. So now that, so that dream materialized. Sure. In the same way the Bible is always, one of my favorite scriptures is God will give you above, exceeding abundantly above all you could ever ask or think. I would have never thought I would be able to direct movies, write movies, direct pilots.
I got something good.
Go, baby, go.
I listen to, way too many podcasts. But one of the things that, I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about, so the exceeding abundantly above, that is actually the hope part. So the podcast was talking about hope. When you say, like, I hope this happens, then that is actually something that, like, you envision. Yeah. But actual real hope is an element of surprise. Yeah. So that exceedingly abundantly above, what God is saying he'll do is things that you haven't even thought of. Yes. Haven't even imagined, haven't even uttered out of your mouth and saying, I hope this happens. Yes. Those are things you can envision. What God is going to do is take that and go above that.
Like, bro, you never thought you was going to be able to do this.
Things you never even thought.
Like, for example, I wanted to fly first class. God will be like, you gonna own a plane company. Exactly. It'd be like, wait, all I want to ever do is fly first class. Yeah. By the way, dream actualized. Remember, I was like, man, one day I'm gonna be flying first class.
Yeah, actually, I told you next year that needs to happen.
And I don't fly first class all the time, but this time I just went to Denver. I flew first class there and back. Shout out to Delta for the upgrades, because I started doing my flight rewards stuff. And I just remember on the way back to Denver, I was like, Kev, you flew first class there and back. You on your way, boy. But that was a little moment for me, because it's a little silly thing, but I felt dope about it, because I fly on Broke Boy Airlines. But we just want to encourage people, like, your dream plan, move in faith, doesn't have to be moving to LA. Right. You know what I mean? It could be.
And that's the other thing is dream plan, move in faith, and it could be something as simple as starting an Etsy account.
Right.
Selling stuff on YouTube.
Yes.
I mean, on eBay.
Yep.
Or going
Remember
to the
you had a
farmer's
little black
market.
dress?
Yeah,
you had
like,
weave business?
I did some everything.
Weave.
Weave. You know, going to the farmer's market and selling something.
Right.
Or, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be this huge, ginormous, I want to move out of state. You know, uproot my family and move out of state. It literally sometimes is just, this is my first step toward.
Absolutely. And for us, that's what it was. Mm-hmm. Now, I just want to ask you this. We're way off topic, but who cares? How did you do that when it wasn't like my dream and entertainment stuff and what was going on with the boys was one thing, but none of that like was your stuff? Like, how did you be like, I'm cool with this too?
The plan.
No, I get the plan part, but like, I guess I'm asking like, how are you? I mean, I don't know. I guess you're going to be doing aerospace. You could do aerospace anywhere.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like, my biggest part was the uprooting of the family, moving and not having.
Like, you know what it is?
This doesn't work, and we got to move back.
Because you're, you know, financial. What is the word? What is you know?
They're about to be done, Kev, too.
I know. No, they're doing another drill. Financial security is something that's important to you. Yes. And that was the biggest risk for moving here. I lost my train of thought completely. I can't find the financial security word, and that my thought was connected to that. Anyway.
Dream plan moving forward.
Yeah, we're going to end it because my thought has left me. So anyway, thank y'all for listening or watching or doing whatever. Remember, anything you do to support us, we appreciate. It's sharing this podcast, sharing a video, buying a shirt, buying a ticket to the stand-up comedy show, buying a ticket to the Love Hour podcast. All that stuff is helpful. We appreciate it. And we'll see you next time. I've been KevOnStage.
Melissa, Miss KevOnStage.
Melissa from Melissa on Stage. God bless you. God keep you. We'll see you at the conference.